The War on Terror is an ideology of fear and repression that creates enemies and promotes violence, rather than mitigating acts of terror and strengthening security, which has had a huge impact on the War on Terror and the way Americans perceive terrorism itself.
War against terror. 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 The war on terror. 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 The war on terror. War on terrorism. The war against terrorism.
It was the turning point, I think, and realizing that this exists out there, and now we have to be concerned and worry about it. Acts of terror really weren't anything that you worried about back then. No, there was nothing like that when I grew up.
Most people didn't think about terrorism affecting their lives at all, and you guys probably can't even imagine what it was like to go to an airport back in that time and kind of, be fluid between security and not security. And so just something as simple as trying to get on an airplane now has changed drastically since before 9/11.
Yes, 9/11 was a part of it, but there has been a calculated campaign that has used 9/11, I think, in order to increase fear of terror and thusly fear of anyone who might resemble or practice the same or potentially related religion.
In terms of what we're told to fear terrorism so much.
Like, especially with the 24-hour news cycle, it's like we see it all the time, which kind of like increases our fear of it. Acts of domestic terrorism, it's like automatically questioned whether it's related to ISIS or like related to like the war on terror.
But is it really possible to have a war on an idea?
No, I think it's almost Orwellian, having thought about it now that you've asked, that the war on terror has been misused now, that it couldn't be used accurately, not really.
The war on terror is a war against a concept. So we're gonna get our asses kicked by it because you can't beat a concept that you don't define. And it is just a phrase used to make people afraid.
No, you can't have a war on ideas. Like the war on drugs, that failed. But that's the thing that's so boring, is like you can legislate and you can pass laws and you can register people to vote, but that's not as like fun and wild as like war on terror.
And he used that war on terror trope to get us involved in a never-ending war that we're still in, that had nothing to do with the actual terrorism that took place.
The use of the war metaphor should be approached with caution, especially in the case of the war on terror. Fear obscures reason, intensifies emotions, and makes it easier for demagogic politicians to mobilize the public on behalf of the policies they want to pursue.
Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. War on terror.